My dear students, in this video, I will discuss the various characters in the story The Happy Prince. So let me begin with the character sketch of the Happy Prince. Real feelings and emotions have been given to the character of the Happy Prince, a statue on a tall column high above the city. Now, when the prince was alive and had a human heart, he did not know what suffering was, for he lived in the palace where sorrow was not allowed to enter. The courtiers called him the Happy Prince. That is, you can say that he was named Happy Prince because he was always happy. When he died, he was set up on a column from where he could see the ugliness and misery of his city. Though his heart is made of lead, yet he feels so sad to see the plight of his people that he weeps, and real tears fall from his eyes. In order to help the poor, wretched people of the city, he asks the swallow to take the ruby from his sword and the sapphires from his eyes and give them away to the sad souls struggling to make a living. The Happy Prince wants to be of some use to his people and reduce their suffering. This shows that he is sensitive, kind, and selfless. But of course, students, you can always say that when he was alive, he did not have these features within him. But after his death, when he was erected as a statue, it was only after that he became sensitive and selfless and kind. He loves the swallow as much as the brave bird that little swallow loves him. When the swallow dies of cold and hunger, the lead heart of the Happy Prince breaks into two. So again and again you see the writer Oscar Wilde has reminded us that the heart is made of lead. That is, a heart which is so strong, which is so hard, it became sensitive to the situations, to the misery that could be seen all around in the city. The Happy Prince, when he was alive, at that time when he had a soft heart, that time this heart couldn't feel for these poor people, couldn't feel for these wretched people. So this indicates us that he was so much attached to the bird. He could not bear the loss of the bird, and that's why his leaden heart snapped into two pieces. Now, the character sketch of the swallow. The swallow As you will read the story, will understand that is a loyal and selfless bird who remains with the happy prince and carries out his commands. In the beginning of the story, we see that the bird was only concerned about himself. He thought about his good, and gradually, when it stayed with the statue, the bird could realize that he should also do something to help the needy, to help the poor. And that's why it did, or he did all these things at the cost of his life. So he carries out his commands. In the beginning, he is impatient to go to Egypt to be with his friends and escape the cold winter. But when the happy prince becomes blind, he does not have the heart to leave him. He feels bad for the statue, and he really takes a decision not to leave the statue, as he has become blind, and that the bird felt that the statue would require his help. He tells the prince stories of all the lands he has visited. He tells him all about what he has seen in the city, as he knew that the prince was blind. So, whatever he could see around, he narrated to the statue. On the prince's instructions, he removes the gold leaves covering the statue and gives them to the poor. The days become colder, but the swallow does not leave the prince's side. He eats the crumbs outside the baker's door and flaps his wings to remain warm. So the bird tried his best to remain alive, though the weather was becoming colder. He tried his level best to fight with this adverse situation and remain alive. He wanted to stay forever with the statue. At last, when he can bear it no longer, he kisses the happy prince and falls dead at his feet. The swallow is a symbol of selfless love and service. Obviously, my dear students, you should all remember that all the services were provided by this brave bird. It was because of this bird that all the gold leaves, the precious stones could be provided to the poor. This could never be done by the statue, as he was fixed at a place. He knows that his end is imminent, but he does not leave the prince alone. He gives up his life to help the prince be of service to the poor. Now, the character sketch of the mayor. The mayor of the city is a heartless and a placid person. He neither has an idea nor he cares about how the poor people in his city live. As he walks in the city square with his councillors, He looks up at the statue of the happy prince and remarks at its shabby looks. Now you will see, students, that the mayor took all the decisions himself. Though he had the counselors with him to discuss about any matter, but he always took the decision, and the counselors, they agreed with him. He comments that the ruby has fallen from the sword and the eyes no longer have sapphires. The prince was no longer covered with gold. He no more looks gorgeous but a beggar. So even if the statue looks like a beggar, was he right to demolish it? Was he correct to pull down the statue? Maybe the statue didn't look gorgeous. Is it necessary? Is it compulsory that the statue should look gorgeous? But the mayor felt that as it looked no more beautiful, it should be pulled down. Then he sees the dead swallow at the prince's feet and is so annoyed that he orders a proclamation to be issued that birds would not be allowed to die in the city. So, I hope, students, you have understood the various characters explained to you so far. Meet you soon in the next video. Until then, goodbye. Keep practicing. Thank you.